What's happening, sports fans? Thanks for tuning back into another episode of San Diego Prep Insider. We are back for the week 4 edition of the high school football rundown, breakdown, scene down. We're just basically, I think people just want to talk special teams with Tommy. I'm Christian Pedersen. I'm joined by Tommy Morris at Real Tommy Morris on the social, as well as Bodie De Silva from Scorebook Live. Scorebook Live, the official digital content provider of all things high school ever you could want. Rosters, scores, tournament brackets, votes, polls, newspaper articles, cool vote videos with Bodie, all of it. Download the SB Live Sports app or visit scorebooklive.com. Bodie De Silva is going to give us a look for the first time this coming week at a non-cathedral game, potentially having to attend with a little bit more freedom. Tommy is here to talk special teams and more. Guys, we always like to start with top 10, but later in the show, we will get to some of our game balls from last week, as well as look ahead at Friday and some of the key matchups that we want to talk about. Let's start, though, with that top 10 voting. There is the Union Tribune's media poll, which we all participate in. There is the SB Live Power Top 20, whatever. Right? Like, there's a lot of different versions of these rankings. Just chalk these up to this is what these people voted as the top 10 as of 11:12 a.m. on Wednesday morning. It's very fluid this year, it would seem. Bodie De Silva, let's start with you, though. What's your top 10 looking like this week?
Yeah, so I stuck with Carlsbad at number 1. They were there preseason. It was a disappointing loss for sure this last week against Inglewood. It snapped Carlsbad's 15-game home winning streak, but I still think they're as good as anyone in the section, and they're going to get a bonus here in a couple weeks when they take on Liberty when Zach Marshall gets eligible. That's going to be a huge target anytime you can add someone like him. Number 2, I moved Madison up this week. They've been really impressive. In 3 games, they've outscored their opponents by 103 points. I'm going to get my first look at them this Friday. They're hosting a very good Ramona team, but Madison's got a chance. There's no guarantee that they beat Cathedral or Lincoln, but it's not out of the question that this team goes undefeated. And if they do, I think that's probably the number 1 seed in the Open Division playoffs. So really talented Madison team. I moved Cathedral to number 3. Obviously, the last 2 weeks, they've only scored 14 points and they've given up well over 100. But those are 2 of the best teams in the country. Chandler was super impressive with a future NFL player at quarterback. I still think Cathedral is very good for the section, but they're going to go to Helix this week and have to prove it. Coming in at number 4 is Helix. They're 3-0. They've looked way better than I was expecting, and they've got a huge chance to knock off Cathedral, and to do so at home is a bonus for them. Lincoln's there at number 5. They've dealt with some quarterback injuries, but the constant is Roderick Robinson, 307 rushing yards this last Friday, 3 touchdowns on only 20 carries against a Southern section team that's talented in St. Bonaventure. So Roderick's just proven himself even more as not only the best running back in San Diego, but likely in all of California. Poway there at number 6. They edged out Ramona at home there. They're going to get Torrey Pines on Saturday. Team they haven't beaten at home since 2008. But I really like Poway. I talked about them as a D1 favorite before the season. If they keep playing this well, they might work their way into the Open Division. Ramona's there at number 7. Despite the loss at Poway, it was still a very close game. I couldn't really drop them much, and they're going to get a chance to show what they are at Madison this week. Mission Hills, I was a little surprised they lost to Highland up in Palmdale like they did last week, gave up over 250 yards on the ground. But this is still a team that they're going to show themselves very well in Avocado League play. And I think they are the favorite, probably be second in that league, but they'll have a chance against Carlsbad early on. Modern Day Catholic, despite not having won, they're 0-3, obviously. They're down at number 9 for me. They got a big chance against Lincoln this week. I know they're hopeful to get some guys back from injury, including Trey Edwards. They will need him if they're going to slow down Roderick Robinson. And then Mira Mesa comes in at number 10. They've given Helix their best game of any San Diego section team so far. And a win over San Marcos on the road, I think, is going to look really big as the season goes on. So I like this Mira Mesa team, and they came in at number 10 for me this week. You're on mute.
I'm sorry. I was talking to myself about Helix stats. Tommy Morris, your reaction to that and or your top 10?
No, I'll just react really quickly. I agree. I know the modern day pick is difficult given they are on 3, but they probably played well. You could argue Cathedral's record's harder, Spence Church is harder, but the very difficult schedule. It gets harder this week, so they could potentially be 0-4 and still be top 10 team as far as I'm concerned. I think that they challenge themselves and they should not be punished for that. Teams that are close to breaking in there, I think Del Norte is pretty close. They haven't lost yet. You got University City with an impressive win over Brawley. You mentioned San Marcos, Bodie. I think towards the end of the year, we'll see them creep up in there as well. But a lot of good teams from area like 6 to like 15 that are all pretty close and could be interchangeable as the season goes on.
The major differences that I had, Bodie, was that I have Helix and Madison, or Madison and Helix 1 and 2. I think that Helix we need to be paying more and more and more and more attention to the fact that Helix is getting it done with only really 2 contributing seniors. Their quarterback is a junior. Their 2 leading rushers are junior. Rylan, Jesse, I know we've joked about the numbers of E's and S's in certain combinations being hard to spell, so maybe we just need to start saying it more often, but I don't get why he's not viewed as one of, if not the best quarterbacks in San Diego. No interceptions this year, 9 touchdowns. Helix is undefeated. His team is moving. He's only a junior. He's got, like I said, 2 juniors are his leading rushers. He's got a ton of sophomores and juniors that he's throwing to. Madison is senior playmakers on top of senior playmakers. Their running game is just outrageous, and it's setting up Reggie Johnson for the deep ball. Like, I think both of those teams are well above and beyond in the top 10 right now, in terms of my point of view. I also think that these weeks prove a long-standing theory that I've had, that low-key high school football is the hardest level of all the different footballs to cover, because some of these schedules are just so vastly apart from one another that you don't have that at the NFL or even really at the college level, where modern day can play off of one other. Like, it's almost a different sport than like necessarily what, and no disrespect to this, but that Del Norte has had this season.
As Oregon found out while playing Georgia.
Yes. Yeah, and so there's some of that in college, but then at the high school level, there's some of that every single week times 5. And there's a lot going on. Speaking of a lot going on, we like the Game Balls segment because that's how we get to talk about what happened last week. Tommy, you've got one of the more impressive performances in recent section history on your Game Balls from this weekend. Hit me with them.
I got a lot of them. So DeMarion Wright from Morris, 230 yards and 6 touchdowns on the ground. Keep him in your peripherals this season. He's going to put up some crazy stats for the Tigers. Jeremy Love these stat lines, 165 yards on 5 carries and 2 touchdowns in their win against Parker for Santa Fe Christian. I mean, you can't really do much better than that. I don't know how far in the field they were for those 2 touchdowns, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty much about as good as you can do as far as yards per carry is concerned. Reggie Johnson from Madison, we talked about them a little bit, quarterback, 364 yards and 4 touchdown passes last week. And Luke Landerer from Claremont. Get a Claremont shout out in here. I don't think they threw a pass this week, but they still played well. 156 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns for the Chieftains.
You love to see the Chieftains snap that streak, get that win, get the monkey off their back, and can now just focus on some football this season. Bodie De Silva from Scorebook Live. You can follow Bodie at SD Preps on social media and in real life. You can also download the SB Live Sports app or visit scorebooklive.com for more. Give us your game balls and then let us know what articles you got coming up this week.
Yeah, there was a lot of crossover between Tommy and I, and a lot of good options throughout the whole county. I'll start with Jace Nix, the sophomore receiver at San Marcos. I was at this game. He caught 9 passes, 190 yards, and 3 touchdowns in their win over Steel Canyon. Have to give a shout out to his quarterback freshman, Crete Makahele. He tossed 4 touchdowns, obviously 3 of those going to Nix. Makai Thompson from Mira Mesa, 220 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns in their win over Otay Ranch. Angelino Trapasso from Rancho Buena Vista, seems like every week he's up for this. 269 rushing yards, 24 carries, 3 touchdowns in their big win over their rival Vista. Connor Rath from Poway, 270 yards, 3 touchdowns against Ramona. He's been doing this for several years now and looks to be a guy.
That game wound up delivering. That was a very, very impressive game. Fun to watch.
And then the last one, I'll go with Jaden Mangini from La Jolla Country Day. 15 tackles, a sack, 127 total yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns in their win over Classical Academy.
Tommy, how are you doing in terms of riding the emotional alumni wave for Country Day's success so far this year? Because they're looking pretty good, man.
I'm a neutral observer in all facets.
Despite the fact that you are wearing the school colors.
This is an NFL Hall of Fame shirt.
I know, but it's school colors still. Like, I don't know how neutral you can be when your subconscious just bleeds.
I only have so many shirts.
You only have so many.
I'm not a man of many shirts. I only have so many. These are my nice shirts. The ones with the collars on them. I only have so many. These ones have sleeves on them too. This is my fancy shirt.
That's true, because you have begun your coaching change to, as we say, Kurt Hines is a young you.
Yeah.
Guys, let's talk about a couple of games coming. Oh, Bodie, articles though to get to this week. Anything good coming out that people should check out?
Yeah, with the NFL season starting, be going over all the local players that have made it to the NFL this season. Obviously, there were some big names in the draft, Chris Olave and Devin Lloyd, those being the two big ones that expect to have big impact as rookies. So that list is always fun to go through and see the guys that have made a career out of it. And even guys like Caleb Johnson from Point Loma goes undrafted out of Houston Baptist and finds a way to stick in the NFL. So there's multiple ways to get your name there.
I'm stoked the most about Cameron Thomas out of Carlsbad, because that kid seems sneaky good at the professional level. It's also makes for a fun story because he once hit Casey with a bird scooter while she was working her traffic control job. And she was urged not to get mad at him because he's a football player.
Did the sign say stop or slow?
It was more, she was like out in one of those intersections doing the hand things while everything was on flash, and he kind of was weaving around and
like most bird drivers.
Yeah. Guys, this week we got more great games, but less coming and goings of random nationally ranked teams. We are starting to look a little bit more internally in the section here for some great matchups. I want to talk about 4 of them. One of them already that you guys alluded to that I want to get right to is Helix and Cathedral Catholic. I think that this one is all Helix all the way, obviously from my previous statements, but to me, this one could be a really big indicator as to where both of these teams really are after a couple of weeks across the lines playing huge teams. Bodie, your thoughts?
Yeah, I my thing for Cathedral, I just want to know, after these last 2 weeks, are they so beat up? How are they mentally? Offensively, they just haven't shown much this year, and that's expected. They lost pretty much everything. They returned 2 guys on offense that even scored a touchdown last year with Will Bond and Max Bales. So I want to see, has their quarterback Jack Stevens made enough progress at this point? They were able to score enough against Mater Dei Catholic in week 1. I'll go Cathedral, but a Helix win here would not shock me. I think Cathedral edges it out. I'm going to say 2017.
Very, very conservative pick there, Bodie. Try not to piss off that fan base. Colton wants us to know that he also takes Cathedral. He is not here with us today. Tommy, your thoughts?
I like Helix in this one. Quincy Herring, the tight end, has 6 touchdowns already through receiving. Jackson Daniels has intercepted 3 passes. So Helix is starting to look like what we are used to when we see or hear of Helix. They look like one of the better teams in the county. Cathedral, kind of like what Bodie said. I mean, not only did you get beat up, that'd be a little bit disheartening to take some of the bigger scoring margin losses maybe that Cathedral's ever taken. They're not used to that kind of stuff. So hopefully they do bounce back. I still think it's a good team, but I don't know if they've gotten to get their legs out from under them yet, because they had such a difficult first 3 games. So I like Helix here, but I do think by the end of the year, Cathedral will look completely different. But I think as of right now, Helix is the win this game.
Our next game is Mission Hills and LCC battle up in the North County. Bodie De Silva, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to go with LCC here.
That feels like a little bit of an upset, though.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I do wonder how Mission Hills is coming off that loss. They went far drive up to Palmdale last week and really had it handed to them. La Costa lost to San Clemente as well. It was a closer game, but I think from La Costa's point of view, they'll keep this low scoring. They've got enough offensively. I think this is a 17-13 La Costa win.
I love the offensive score predictions that we're going with this year. Tommy Morris, you taking the over, the under, the win, the loss? What are you getting on that one?
Yeah, LCC can really air it out. Mission Hill's kind of a mystery because they played some games against teams that are not from here. So it's hard to tell what we really see. Other than they played a team from Temecula, a team from LA, and then now a team from Palmdale. So they've not played a San Diego game yet. I like LCC here. Connor A. Sorry, not even try last name.
Yeah.
Really out there for the Mavericks. Bodie score prediction. I'll give a Bodie score prediction. I'm going to say LCC wins this thing 24-21.
Colton Toll is in on Mission Hills. He picks them. He likes their defense and how low scoring all the games have been early in this season. Next, we've got Mater Dei Catholic and Lincoln. This is kind of the end-ish of the gauntlet for Mater Dei Catholic in terms of the first 4 games that they scheduled this season. for Lincoln. This is just another big one. Where do we fall on this one, Tommy Morris?
I think Lincoln's win last week in St. Bonaventure was one of the more impressive ones I've ever seen. They don't have a quarterback with them at this point in time. No word on really when he's coming back or what the deal is with that. But for Roddy to run for over 300 yards when everyone knows he's getting the ball, everyone knows exactly what's going on, is absolutely insane. One of the more impressive games maybe ever out of that. I'm not exaggerating. And to do that, given the circumstances, is pretty insane. I do think Mater Dei has the talent to keep up with Lincoln. It does kind of depend on if Trey Edwards is playing or not. I think Mater Dei wins this one in a very close to low scoring game. I'm going to go. I'm going to say 21-14, somewhere around there. I think Mater Dei does win this game though. But again, could not be more impressed with how Roger Robinson played last week. It just couldn't have done any better.
Please, UCLA, hold on. Please, UCLA, hold on. Get that man whatever money he needs. Get him whatever car dealership he needs to be partnered with.
You can legally say that now.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Give that man pays that man his money. Get Roddy Robinson whatever he needs. Get that man a private jet. Get that man a house. Get that man everything Reggie Bush was taking. Give it. I
think he'll just take fans at the Rose Bowl during the games. I think if you promise that people will show up to the games, I think maybe that'll do.
We need like a Facebook VR watch party in that kind of heat. You can't. The Rose Bowl is literally the worst stadium.
Yeah,
where anything has. I mean, the Coliseum's not far behind, but
apparently Snapdragon. Well, not the greatest temperature, but that's okay.
Yeah, woof. Hey, CIF Finals going to be there though. That's what's up. Bodie DeSilva, your thoughts on Mater Dei Lincoln?
Yeah, until someone proves they can stop Roderick, I have to lean with Lincoln here. And I think their defense has been more impressive so far early on. I know in the Alemany game, it ended up 14-7. But I think they've got some guys, especially in the back end of that defense. Mater Dei Catholic wants to throw the ball around. I think that'll neutralize it a little bit. I'm going to go Lincoln at home 30-20.
Colton Toll wants everyone to know that he is picking Lincoln on this one. Our final game is Mount Miguel and Crawford, a pair of teams that I'm watching really closely in some division races right now in terms of we liked what we saw the first couple of weeks, but now, teams are, I think the wins and losses are getting to be a little bit more, you've got tape on your opponents. Can they be adjusted to? So who do we like here? Bodie DeSilva, let's start with you between Mount Miguel and Crawford. Yeah,
I'm going to go Crawford here. I think it's going to be low scoring. That's what Mount Miguel's games have been so far. They shut out their first two opponents, and then last week in Montgomery, they gave up 12 in the 12-7 loss. I'm going to go Crawford 17-14 here, and I think a really evenly played low scoring battle. As you said, with more film out there now as weeks go on, I think that'll help both of them.
Colton is picking Mount Miguel in this one. He likes their defense as well, as you mentioned, Bodie. Tommy Morris, your thoughts on Mount Miguel Crawford?
I might as well mention it for a third time. They average even 4 points a game. Mount Miguel does, so that's pretty good if you're asking me. It does concern me a little bit that they struggled so much with Montgomery. I didn't think of that. I thought after the way they looked against Chula and Sweetwater, they'd be able to keep putting the points. 7 points is a little alarming. For that reason, I'm going to go with Crawford. They do have some dudes on offense and defense. I am assuming low scoring here. It might be one of those weird score ones too, like where it's like 12-7 and just something kind of crazy. But I think Crawford wins this game and it will be very close.
Getting 7 the Iowa way with a field goal and 2 safeties.
Oh, is that ever happened?
Yeah, that happened this Saturday. Iowa got.
I know. I'm wondering if that's ever happened before that. I watched it. I enjoyed every minute of that game because I was just hoping that there would be no touchdowns. I got my wish.
Yeah,
I wanted like a defensive touchdown for the win. That would have been fine. A South Dakota win on a defensive touchdown would have been beautiful.
When the television broadcast goes to the drive of the game and it's the defense getting a safety, it's been a weird one. That's for darn sure.
No, my favorite of all time, maybe anything I've ever heard an announcer say, it was like 3rd and 12, and South Dakota ran the ball for like 4 yards. South Dakota State, and this goes, that's genius there because now there's a little more room to punt it. It's like, what? like it is, or like get the first down. I don't know. Like you're looking forward to the punt. Like that's just,
indeed, guys. Anything we missed
from the 32? It wasn't even like they were backed up. It was just quite
in the middle of nowhere. Anything we missed from high school football this week, or high school sports in general?
School's back. You're home.
Say that again.
Yeah, The only thing I'll say is I think despite the disappointing out of section losses, it's going to prove to be an exciting year because there's a lot of teams that have a chance to make the open division. So looking forward to that.
Well, and I would like to just pivot off of that a little bit and say I kind of almost want to do a separate dive on this and not necessarily have to hold you guys here for a minute, but the amount of teams right now that are winless or sub 500 that I would still look at and be like, totally could be a championship team.
Yeah.
Their season has just been so whacked out of proportion. Like I was watching Mar Vista against Morse on Saturday. I was like, oh, yeah, Mar Vista looks really good. Morse just has a demigod at running back and is a little bit bigger across the board because they're a division or two above. Like, there's some of that where I'm like, man, teams just got to hold on for dear life right now and get that first W. And then the ball gets rolling and you figure it all out. And that's what's so frustrating about some of this right now is just seeing some of these teams where you're like, man, that's going to be a good team. They just got to figure it out a little bit. Is interesting. If that is it, I will remind everybody, follow Tommy at Real Tommy Morris, Bodie at SD Preps or SB Live CA. You can follow the show at SD Prep Insider. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon, sports fans.